Hello, welcome to everyone on this new episode of What's the Day. It's been a while since we're getting back on track. So the day today, what we're going to be talking about is the International Day of the Girl Child. Today is October 11th, and I have with me Miss Priti Rao. Before we get into the whole conversation about the day itself, I want to ask you a simple question that I've asked all my guests. Did you know about the day, and what did you know or did you not know about the International Day of the Girl Child?
Honestly, since quite some years, I was concerned about the girl child and its importance to raise the issue. But I wasn't really aware of the Girl Child Day until I started Aatmaja Foundation. So that was way back in 2015. And I really started connecting with the issues of related to girl child and wanting to resolve them. That's when got aware of the such a day and it's being celebrated, and I understand the importance of why it needs to be celebrated because it's an important issue. Um, so, um, so I hope I answered your question. And
Yeah.
yes,
So the International Day of the Girl Child was brought into recognition by the United Nations. Specifically on 19 December 2011, the General Assembly adopted a resolution 66 by 170 to declare 11th October as the International Day of the Girl Child. So basically, to recognize that girls also have very specific, unique challenges in lives across the world, and to address those uh, problems that they've been having across the globe. Uh, so you're here just to give the listeners and viewers a brief idea about what you've been doing. You're currently the chairperson of Aatmaja Foundation for quite a few years. You're also the MD of daycare known as Pumpkin Patch Daycare. And you're also on the board of directors of a few companies. And I've got quite a few decades of experience in the industry. So if you would like to enlighten the viewers and listeners about your experience and how you could connect to this and why actually you were very interested in this whole field itself.
sure. So I actually am brought up in a fairly middle class family where both my parents were working, and my mother was principal of the school. I grew up in Bombay, and my mother went out of the way to support my education in IIT in computer science. And I think without her support and without her stretch, because
Yeah,
it couldn't have been possible at all. I mean, one thing's IIT is cheaper, but the staying in the hostel is not, no, with three of us in the home, it wasn't very easy for my mother to sort of do that. And I think that education or the stamp of that education made such a huge impact on my life. I worked 25 plus years into IT services company, the longest stint being in Infosys. And so when I look back and I wanted to do something for the society, and I look back at what I should be doing, I think two things came to my mind. One thing is helping women go back to work, because I had seen in Infosys that women don't, during that particular phase, when the child is born and until he or she is 2 3 years, women take a break and it's extremely difficult for them to come back. While I did the same, but I was able to come back. I think more and more, given the technology changes that happen very fast, it's very difficult so I started with that. The first thing I started was Pumpkin Patch Daycare, where and it's still continuing. Well, we have helped 1,000 plus women go back to work. Once that business was sort of settled, I thought I was looking at directly contributing to the community and society, because this business is for profit and so it's sort of
yeah,
easier to manage. I realized that the at least in the Indian context, the biggest dropouts happen, or the biggest gap in the girls' education
yeah,
is happens after ninth and 10th. And
right,
ninth and 10th, up to ninth or 10th, the schools provide with a good, bad
correct, yeah,
kind of quality education. The girls go to school, but that's where the challenges become financial challenges as well as navigating challenges, because no, they don't know. When most of the girls at Atmaja Foundation, when we interview, they want to become doctors. I mean, and they don't realize how competitive or tough it is to clear those NEET exams and things like that, which is not possible for most of them. So that's where I started to begin the challenges of girls I started Aatmaja Foundation uh, with a mission to help disadvantaged girls to pursue education. We started in 2015 and we started with 20 plus girls. Today we support more than 350 girls and 100 plus girls have passed and no, they are gainfully employed. So that's my little contribution, drops in ocean, I say, to the cause because in India, I think it's a serious cause that needs attention. Not only the education, the malnutrition, and no the crime related to them. I
Right.
mean, there are so many challenges related to the girl child, and there is a lot one can do to address the issue.
Right. So, I mean, that's exactly where the day itself came in, specifically targeting the issues that girls have been facing, be it education or be it family issues. Because even when I was going through the internet, studying on this specific topic, like there were statistics like one in every three girls was married before being 18 on a global scale, not specifically to India, but on a global platform itself. Uh, and it's not something that's specific to a country, but it's there worldwide. Uh, when we talk about, if we go back further on the day itself, uh, so this topic specifically came up on the platform of for the world to recognize in 1995 when there was a world conference on women which was organized in Beijing, and they adopted a Beijing declaration and platform for action. So here a very specific blueprint was laid out, not just for women but also for girls to highlight their issues. So that is where the idea first came in. And then there were senators from Canada who brought up the idea in the UN General Assembly. And through there, the whole resolution was passed in 2011, which culminated in the recognition of the day itself. Now, specifically to your work itself, you've worked with girls. Any specific issues that you faced which have been unique to the girls that you've worked with, uh, related to school or just from a background perspective?
Sure. As we start beginning to connect with the schools to identify students and connect with their parents to interview them, I think there are several of them who, first of all, most of the girls were malnourished.
Hmm.
I know the kind of food the girls get at home is not the same as their brothers. The priority for the education of girls was minimal. Most of them wanted to sort of study, make them study until they get married, and there were certain issues like dowry and things that they were worried about, and so they didn't want to impact it. I had met parents who said, I don't want to educate the girl because where will I find a husband and how will I pay for the dowry?
Hmm.
And so it's better that she is no not so we have tough time sometimes explaining to the parents that she will earn, she will be a support, and most girls today are supporting their parents
Yeah.
perhaps better than or same as their brothers. And so there have been such discussions, convincing parents that we have spent enough time with. When it comes to finding money for no further education, it is, and if there is a boy and a girl in the family, the money is always reserved for girls. So these are the kind of challenges, at least in this adolescent age, that we see the girls facing. There's no trust on the girls. They're much worried. There are certain parents who would come and sit in our office if there is some session. There is no trust that where the girl is going. And of course, there are safety issues, and there are reasons why the parents sometimes are worried because no, they care for the children. But
Right.
I think several kind of such no interactions have given me more insight into how we sort of need to proceed on this.
But from the reluctance perspective, has it just been the parental pressure, or has there been some society perspective as well? I mean, I understand parents showing some resistance, but then has it only been about not being able to get them married off or something of that sort, or is it like that they've not seen anybody go out, any girls in their family go out, that kind of thing?
I think most of the families that the girls that we support come from the family, and they are almost the first learners, formal learners in their house. Most of the parents are sixth, seventh pass, so they are secure. But one thing that I observed that many of them are securities in companies like Infosys and Wipro, and so they actually want and they are seeing the girls and women come there, and so they want their girls to be. So that, I think that shift has helped. They're at least seeing the world around them while not in their families and not in the immediate neighborhood. They are actually now sort of realizing that no, the education will make difference. So I've seen this in last 7, 8, 10 years. There's a big change in even the both mother and father of the girl accepting the fact that the education is the real change, that, and they want to make the girl. They've seen life. Many of our
Right.
girls are single parent, so
Mm-hmm.
either the father's not there or gone away or whatever,
Okay.
and they realize that no, unless I make the girl independent, stand on her feet, and then she gets educated and start earning, I wouldn't even think of marriage. And I think that's what I bring her here for. And so we hear some of those good stories where the parents are going out of the way to support their girl children. And I'm seeing that as a change in last 7, 8 years.
Any specific story that comes to your mind? Any specific girl that comes to your mind who's outshined in that sense? If you remember that specific life that you've influenced or
Yeah, sure.
impacted.
Yeah, sure. So we have a name girl called Pooja. We took her. She was in Marunji school, which is
Okay.
no, very close to the. So she came to us in ninth standard when she was there. Her father is a driver, and they have three sisters.
Okay.
And they had taken so much loan for whatever family reasons that no, at times she wouldn't have more than one dress to wear. So she would
Right.
come every time in the same dress, and um, if she brings her tiffin, there'll be just one chapati and no sabji in that, and those kind of
Okay.
conditions were there. And this girl today works for Cisco. She finished her
Okay.
engineering, and no, now she's supporting her father to return his loans and all that. I think she's been a real success story. And compared to that, I would also think that no, we have a one. I would like to narrate another story where we have a girl who's now in 12th standard. She is an orphan.
Okay.
She lost her both the parents, and she has been adopted by the friend of her mother.
Okay.
And this friend of the mother is also a beautician or something like that, but she's so proud of her mom, and the mom is so proud of her that she brings us, and this girl will do well. So
Right.
because she's been supported well and the mother understands. But I know it's heart touching story. I mean, that lady is a single mother,
Yeah.
and she is not married, and she has chosen to support this girl to
Okay. Okay.
continue her.
Right.
So I think there are so many stories. Almost each girl is there's a story by herself. But yeah.
Yeah. You talked about Infosys previously. What are the other organizations that you worked with? I mean, with along with Atmaja, as in, uh, and how have those went been? Have those been cumulative or pretty straightforward collaborations?
Are being supported with at least 7, 8 companies
Okay.
who help us donate this part of their CSR funds. So while for Infosys we are executing this program STEM in Girls, I think some of those CSR initiatives actually help us. We identified 15, 20 girls, and they help support their expenses. They come, they talk to
Okay.
the girls, they mentor, they have the sessions, they take them to the offices. And we have a lot of 50 plus individual supporters who do the same. We map one girl to them and they help them, they call them home, so they make them feel the girl wanted. They speak with them in English at times to enhance their English communication. So I am seeing this is a cause which is appealing to many. And I think whoever I have spoken to has not hesitated to support in some form or the other. It may be money at times, it may be some books at times, it may be, whatever, training at times and those kind of things. But yes.
So, private organizations aside, if we try to talk about the government, okay, even the government has multiple programs, be it the Indian government or any other government around the world, uh, whether be it about child marriage prevention, gender-based violence, social economic equal access, providing things like that. Um, in India, how do you see the scenario developing over the years that you've been working with Atmaja? Has it been stable? Has it improved? How much has it improved, or something like that? Because I mean, how I see the news, there are multiple programs going on, but is it really touching the ground based on your?
It is touching the ground. I would think that if even if you look at the 10 years history, the girl child, which used to get killed in the womb, has I think almost sort of being stopped, and this is because of the mandate that government has given
Yeah,
against that. I think you significantly see the ratios coming back to normal. So that's a one big change that no that's obvious. I think even in most states, including Maharashtra, the education until 10th is free for girls, and
yeah,
they get free meals in the
yes,
schools,
yes,
and that's one reason why the girls have started going back to school, because otherwise they have to sit at home and look after the children.
right.
I've seen that meal is actually making big difference. And while there'll be corruption, and you can always look at the negative side of it, I have seen it being sincerely implemented in many schools where the girls and boys in the school really get benefited from schemes like that. I think recently, even government of Maharashtra has significantly reduced or compensated colleges for the engineering and diploma engineering fees to colleges, which results
Yeah.
in the girls don't need to pay. I mean, from what it used to be 50, 60,000, it is kind of come to 15,000 and things like that. So which becomes affordable, and it helps us also to support more girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these schemes are working on the ground, and they are having positive impact. But more and more people join these movements. I think the government cannot do everything, and it's not fair to expect government to do everything like this. So
Right.
I think together we could do lot
Yeah.
more things.
From a child's perspective, as far as we try to give them the best facilities and the opportunity and everything, do you feel that sometimes their upbringing becomes a problem, that the child itself becomes reluctant to uh, be open to an opportunity? Have you ever seen that happening? As in, because I mean,
Yeah, it happens all the time across the social sectors. I mean, it doesn't mean that it happens only in the
yeah,
disadvantaged families. I think you've seen a lot of good middle class, good families where the girls or boys actually get swayed by emotions, get attracted to the wrong things, whether it's drugs or no, what happens in the colleges or going to movies and not paying attention at what is required, whether it's
yeah,
cheating and those kind of things. And this particularly happen at the higher families. But I would
okay,
think that even the class that we handle, we are seeing that at times that no, girls are reluctant, they're shy, they're willing. It takes a lot of effort to get them out of the shell. No,
mhm.
they have this cultural impact on them, which sort of takes time. That you be bold, you stand up, you can do this. I think they need a lot of such encouragement, and they are of course in teenage.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
no, I think there's some of those influences
right.
that exist, good or bad, good and bad both. I think it makes a difference to what they do.
So we started with the international background of it, but as your foundation, have you ever had an opportunity to collaborate with someone which is across the globe or something of that sort?
No, not. I mean, we have a lot of supporters, individuals as well as companies,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or or through benefiting, which is a matching program kind of thing, which we get funds. But I think this may be the girls in STEM may be the first experience of sort of
Okay.
working with BP in that sense, which is global. I mean, not much effort also I have put perhaps. So there are companies like Wonderlande, who's like a Netherlands-based company, but they help us in CSR, but their India arm helps us in CSR. So some of their
Okay.
ex-CEOs are connected and they help as individuals, but as a CSR support or global support, I'm not really reached out, and maybe it's time that we start doing it.
Right. Um, so the day goes on like this. I mean, talking about the International Day of the Girl Child. basically trying to make it a reminder that we need to advocate for gender equality, not just women, children, for everybody, and to ensure that girls have the same opportunities and rights as boys. In the country, specifically as we have the situation, uh, it's building and even getting better on a day-to-day basis. We have conferences, social media campaigns that go on. On the social media platforms that we see on a daily basis, uh, how do you see the news going around about the practices or the programs that the government is bringing about? Or if somebody is doing something good, is that spread across so that people get due, what do you call, they get their name across, and the work basically reaches to the recognition that they get. Is it something that social media is helping, or is social media taking things backward? Is basically what I
No, so
wanted to ask.
social media, yeah, sure. Social media is surely helping because it's a platform where no you can post, and the if you are able to make something interesting, then there are people who notice and no sort of reach out to us or any other NGOs doing equally good
Mhm.
work too. I've also seen other than social media, WhatsApp is somewhat helping because no
Okay.
we particularly in India, WhatsApp is kind of very comfortably adopted. There are a lot of groups uh, and so the news spreads. If there are any scholarships, I've seen a lot of forwards coming saying, if you need this scholarship, this government is giving, this association giving.
Right.
So I think a lot of such forwards also actually no help the companies or the NGOs who are doing some work or individuals who are doing such work to propagate themselves. I haven't seen much negative impact of social media, at least on communicating what you're doing effectively.
Okay. I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, because we always hear a lot of misinformation spreading through WhatsApp and the social media. But when it comes to social work, at least there we have good reasons to believe that social media is helping the whole cause on itself. So that is more or less how I do podcasts and
Yeah,
things
sure.
like that.
Right,
But
right.
any parting words that you would like to share specifically for viewers or the listeners related to the cause itself, or something that you that's very dear and near to your heart when it comes to
I
girls?
think it's a very, I mean, there are many causes and individual chooses what causes that they're calling. I think it's a very important cause, particularly in a countries, either Asian countries or African countries. And I'm not saying that this problem doesn't exist in others, but I think this is very prominent in these continents. And there is a lot each one of us can do based on what our inclination is, helping financially, helping handholding, identifying, ensuring that crime, they're protected from crime and things like that. So there is there's a lot of good things that each person can contribute based on the time, money, and inclination they have, and I welcome them to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, listeners and viewers, this was Ms. Priti Rao, who was here with me to discuss and talk about her experience related to the International Day of the Girl Child, which was celebrated today on October 11th. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and hope you liked it. Thanks, Preeti, for joining me in, and thank you for accepting the invitation itself. Uh, Thank you.
Thank
If you
you.
liked it,
I enjoyed
do
it.
like it and follow. Thank you.
Okay.